Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Enjoy.
Yes, you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast because I'm back. Yes, that's right. My knee is feeling okay, so I'm here. We'll see. It's letting me sit at my desk. We'll see how long that lasts, hopefully. Hello, Robert. Hello, Kim. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate that. I am slowly but surely. It's just been taking me a little while to feel like I could sit at my desk for a little bit and do this. Podcat is just as excited to be back as I am. And a quick reminder to everybody. Hey, Travis. A quick reminder to everybody that is watching. If you see me say hi or comment to somebody that you're not seeing in the chat, it's because we simulcast. The NX 7062 podcast is live on both Facebook and YouTube, and the way I have it set up, I can see everybody's comments, but only if you're in the platform will you see somebody's comments. And I do try to share everybody's comments if I'm gonna respond. I try to share so everybody can see, but I did want to remind everybody in case they got confused, because Faith is hanging out on Facebook and the rest of you guys are all here right now on YouTube. So I just wanted to let you know, Faith is a real person. You just can't see her because she's on Facebook, but she's very real, and I always love it when she joins us. So the first thing, there you go. It's Facebook. I love that. So let's start with a reminder now. First of all, y'all know that I am so supportive of everybody else that has a Star Trek podcast. There's so much Trek to talk about, so many different things that people love about Star Trek, and so many different topics. So I have no animosity towards anybody. I don't feel like I'm in competition with anybody. In fact, right now, I feel like I'm the after party for the 7th Rules Monday night event. So, I have no problems with sharing the spotlight, including when Trek Talks is, and you may have seen this on my social media, hosting a telethon for the Hollywood Coalition, the Hollywood Food Coalition, which is John Billingsley's charity. He is on the board. It is very near and dear to his heart. And they are hosting a huge all-day telethon for him on Saturday. They just released the schedule. Tons of guests. There is an Enterprise panel. It's 6:38 Pacific time, which makes it 9:38 here. All the Star Trek awesome, all the Enterprise awesomeness is going to be there. So, I'll be tuning in on Saturday night. Hello, War Dog. Hello, Jean. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight for my big ass return to the live action show that is the NX 7062 podcast, or Podcat, as the case may be. So everybody tune in. If you can't donate to the podcast, to the telethon, please, at least tune in, show them some support. Like I said, there's an Enterprise panel, there's a Deep Space Nine panel, there's one about Trek, like altruism and Trek that I know Chase Masterson's on. I just perused their schedule, and I will be posting about that, sharing that so you all can be there too. What else is going on out there? Let's see. I know I had some other stuff that I wanted to talk to you before we got into Trek 2022. Oh, yeah. Oh, Happy New Year, everybody. How could I forget to say that? Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great New Year. You're here, so I'm assuming you all survived it and safely. Let's see. So I was just kind of hanging out watching Quantum Leap before the show, a couple episodes on Comic, because, nothing wrong with, thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. I was just hanging out, getting some Bacula in before tonight's show. And who do I see in the last episode before I pop on the air? But Neil Mcdonough. Now, you may know him as Damien Dark from The Flash and DC Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow. And he's been around the block so many times for so much sci-fi. But he was in Quantum Leap. And he also played Lieutenant Hawk in my favorite Star Trek movie, First Contact. So you got a little bit of Trek crossover before Enterprise was even a twinkle in anybody's eye. You had Lieutenant Hawk and Captain Archer hanging out together on Quantum Leap. I don't know how it ends. It's on pause. I'm going to check out the end when I get out. And yes, Prodigy is back for 2022. It's the first big Trek of 2022, I think. Was the second half season premiere that happened this past Thursday. The other thing I wanted to mention about Trek people outside of Trek is, now I've joked about this. I don't think I've joked about it here, but I've joked about it with a friend of mine. We both watched 911 and 911 Lone Star. And y'all know, because you've heard me talk about it, Connor Trinneer has a recurring character on 911. He's the head of the bomb squad. When I saw Connor in Vegas, they hadn't asked him back for this year yet. But I said, they got to just figure out more ways to blow up LA. And I just thought that it would be really funny if Connor was the head of the bomb squad in LA, if in Texas, 911 Lone Star, if they asked Dominic to do it. Dominic can do an American accent, so I always just thought that it was really, really funny if they did that. They didn't do that, but in the season opener that was last week, they did have Eric Pierpoint cross-examining Rob Lowe's character. So they did squeeze some Enterprise into 911 Lone Star, just the wrong Enterprise person. Not that I don't love Eric and love seeing him. And to answer your question, John, yes, it's splitting its season, which is actually going to be the first question that I might as well ask to the group, and I posted it earlier today on social media. Discovery is due back on the 14th. Prodigy went away and just came back. And it just seems like a lot of people are doing this, these half seasons, these split seasons. And I want to know what you all think about it. I'm not so sure how I feel about it. I guess, it's like we're still having continuous Trek. We stopped Discovery to rejoin Prodigy. But why are we stopping Discovery? Why can't we just have Discovery? Why can't we just have one continuous Star Trek leading into another continuous Star? We've got enough Star Trek properties right now that they could do that. So I don't know if it's for suspense reasons. You have these mid-season cliffhangers. Although I didn't feel like it was much of a cliffhanger in Discovery, that they needed to keep us on edge until the 14th. Yeah, exactly. One show at a time for 10 weeks or whatever, and then do a different one. I don't think it's pandemic related. I'd have to do more research on that, but I have a feeling it was planned. Because let's be honest, when it comes to animation is a lot easier to produce during a pandemic, I would think, than live action. So I'm not sure it's pandemic related. And we all know that they finished Discovery. Discovery's been done, I think, since May or June. So Discovery's done. And, I've done background work on shows. I've done background work on Law & Order SVU. You never see me, but I was on... Nope, I take that back. Was that Law & Order or Law & Order SVU? It was Law & Order SVU. You did see me in one episode. But the time it takes to shoot and get something to air is only a couple of weeks. It's not the labor-intensive process, I think, that it used to be prior to digital. So I don't think that it's so much production, because I think everything was ready. Yeah, messing around, making us wait. Let's see what War Doc has to say. These stupid suits don't know how to market anything. That's entirely possible. Trek is Trek, and I'll keep my subscription. Well, that's the thing. That's an excellent point, though. Maybe they figure, if you're only there for Discovery, you're not going to cancel your subscription for a couple weeks, and they're going to slide Prodigy in and then go back. That's an interesting point, Faith. Not sure if that has anything to do with it, but that is a very interesting point. Working on Picard season 3 now, but still maybe in post. All right, season 2 of Picard was stopped. I think that was the season that got stopped for COVID. There were production issues because of COVID, But like I said, you can shoot stuff pretty close to air dates, only a couple weeks out from your air dates. So as far as I was able to tell with my research, Picard is still ready for 2022 February. I don't know if it's I think it's supposed to overlap Discovery at some point. So that might happen. Lower Decks is slated for a third season. Whether it's a 2022 third season or not, don't know about that. What are you guys all looking forward to in Picard? I had somebody reply to one of my Facebook posts and say they were looking forward to basically all the reunions. Q coming back, and Guinan, all those reunions, which I'm also looking forward to. Okay, yeah, they have resumed filming. All of it. Faith, you're like me. If it's Trek, it is Trek, and I am all in, all for it. Or season 2's in the can. Season 3 is being shot now. Okay, there we go. So we've got 2. Thank you, War Dog. So we've got 2. February 2022. It's probably going to overlap Discovery. My guess is Prodigy will be wrapped by then. I know Lower Decks is coming with a season 3. We still have Strange New Worlds to look forward to. They've also wrapped. They just haven't given us a release date yet. Okay, Jean, let's see. Jean is on the fence about Picard. That is very fair, especially for all of us. I mean, I think everybody agrees that the first season, you can't judge a show. It's really hard to judge a show by its first season, right? I mean, you can fall in love with it, but you can fall in love with it in the first season, but after it gets going, I think most people, I'd be very hard pressed, I think, to find somebody who's watched a show that's been on for a few seasons, turn around and say, oh, the first season was the best season. Because the first season's all about finding your legs. War Dog wants to know, Jonathan, all I know is what Jonathan Frakes leaks. Yeah, and you can put leaks in quotes with those ironclad NDAs that they have to sign. Trust me, because he mentioned that before Picard at 2019 in Vegas. I went to the panel with him and Jerry Ryan and Jonathan Del Arco, and they are so locked down. I know it's still a thing. I know they're still doing it. I have not seen anything about the Section 31 series, to be honest. And trust me, that's the one that's most on my radar, because Michelle Yeoh and Section 31 are 2 of my favorite things in modern. Well, I love Section 31. I love Michelle. I can't wait till they combine them. I am really, really looking forward to that. So besides Faith, who else watches Prodigy? Because they came back with a huge crossover. They came back with a huge crossover. It was a big Kobayashi Maru scene on the holodeck, which was amazing. And they had this crossover where the captain of the Protostar got to pick a crew to run the Kobayashi Maru test on the bridge of the Enterprise D. And this is a spoiler alert. Total, absolute spoiler alert. But it was been on since Thursday. So if you haven't seen it, too bad. 48 hours is usually my rule about spoilers. And they had everybody. They gave us Dr. Crusher. They gave us Mr. Spock. They gave us Lieutenant Uhura. They gave us Odo. They gave us Scotty. Where the hell was somebody from Enterprise? He couldn't have gotten pissed at Spock and switched him out for another Vulcan? Because he said science officer. He didn't even say first officer. He said he needed a kick-ass science officer. It was a fantastic episode. There are so many people that we're so excited that Gates McFadden was back as Beverly Crusher, because so many people have been waiting for it. What is War Dog saying? It was excellent return to the air. Loved the Agent Chaos taking Kobayashi Maru. Yes. Oh, yeah. They also gave us Chakotay at the very end. And we know Chakotay, it looks like Chakotay's going to come back. But nobody from Enterprise. And I have to be honest, I didn't like the animation. Spock was okay. Uhura was good. Odo was Crusher looked awful. I don't think she looked anything like Gates McFadden after everybody was so excited for her to come back, and they made her kind of anime-ish, and I did not at all. I didn't like the way she was drawn. I thought it was great to see her, and obviously everybody, they were using voice clips from everybody else. They had Scotty on there. They were using voice clips, which got very disconcerting, because you can drop voice clips in, but you can't really mess with their tone too much in any sort of audio software, because then when you start messing with tone, the voice changes, the pitch will change, it wouldn't have sounded like Leonard. So I get it, but just the change of tone because of where they were grabbing these clips from was a little disconcerting. But I thought that it was great that they did it, and then they dedicated it to Leonard and James and Renee. And what does Faith have to say? Faith watches them all and then judges. You can get into it, but maybe that's your problem. And that issue with Doctor Who. Okay, took me 3 solid tries. Yeah, see? The mannequins. Oh, yeah, and you know what, Faith? The mannequins are actually a throwback to a Tom Baker episode. Which I didn't know until I got into original Doctor Who thanks to the reboot. Yeah. I don't have a problem with the anime style. I think Janeway looks great, but for some reason they really dropped the ball on Dr. Crusher. But yeah, I thought it was great to watch him taking the Kobayashi Maru over and over and over again, because nobody bothered to tell him it was a no-win scenario. And I loved it. I loved how even when you thought you could, and even when you went unconventional, blew up your warp core, well, then you end up blowing up your own ship. I thought that was a great way to have him take the Kobayashi Maru and understand and finally gain an understanding of what it means to be a captain. And in case anybody's interested, there is an Enterprise, and I know it's not canon, but there's an Enterprise novel that explains what happened to the Kobayashi Maru, and that it really was lost. And it was Captain Archer that had to make that decision. It was a great book. Not the name. Maybe it was the name of the book. I don't remember. No, it wasn't the name of the book, because I remember when I read that they came across the Kobayashi Maru, I went, oh my God. I will look up, which I haven't read that many Enterprise novels, but that one was a really good one. The one I'm reading now, and I think I've mentioned this, has totally turned me off to reading anymore. So, all right. So Prodigy is back. It is great. Hopefully they will make up for lack of Enterprise in this episode and give us Enterprise in something else. Speaking of Enterprise, oh, thank you. Yeah, I got this a while ago. And I just kind of felt like wearing it. I normally, my normal, like, I never take it off, but obviously I have. Pendant is actually a Superman dog tag that supports the Christopher Reeve Foundation, but this one's just as good. Oh, there you go. All right, Travis, if you read it, what's the title? Because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Doll, Agent of Chaos, due to serious chaos affecting the world around him. Yes, but that is why I love him. Domestic! What is up? John Pertwee was amazing. Elizabeth, are we talking about Elizabeth Sladen? Yeah, she was really good. Sarah Jane was Elizabeth Sladen. She was amazing, and she actually came back in David Tennant's era. Thanks, Travis. She actually returned in David Tennant's era for one of my absolute favorite episodes called School Days. Because not only did Sarah Jane resurface, but she brought K9 with her. And then they spun her off into the Sarah Jane Chronicles, which was actually for children. And then Elizabeth actually passed away during Matt Smith's tenancy as the Doctor. So, yeah, she was amazing. I loved her. I did not watch any. It was so good. Yes, I've watched a couple of the Sarah Jane Chronicles, and it actually put in perspective where she got her son from when they did Journey's End. Yeah, Stolen Earth and Journey's End, and her son was in it. And then I went back and watched it. I'm like, oh, that's where he came from. Anyway, not a Doctor Who podcast, but I am totally there with you, Faith. What else is okay? This is the other thing I was trying to get to before I got distracted. So while I was setting up the show, I was on YouTube very briefly, and Virtual TrekCon had a clip up, and they were talking about the potential for T'Pol to show up in Strange New Worlds. Now, nobody has said anything. Nobody's released anything official, but as I was reminded, and as it was pointed out by Anne Marie, who's one of the members of the Seventh Rule, it was called Kobayashi Maru, Travis. I could have sworn that was not the name of the novel, but okay, all right. All of my Enterprise novels are on Kindle, but I wasn't going to sit there and go through my Kindles while I was talking, so thank you, Travis, for that. I could have sworn it wasn't the title of the book. Anyway, Jolene Blaylock, as Anne-Marie pointed out, showed up to Star Trek Day. And as I've mentioned on this show and elsewhere, she doesn't really do much Star Trek anything anymore. Now, because when she left, she had a bad taste in her mouth, from what I understand. She wasn't treated very well on set, and she had some issues with the show. But on top of that, it's my understanding that she had some really bad incident happen at an early convention that she did, one of the earlier conventions that she did, that got her to stop cold, and she didn't even go to conventions. So she did show up to Star Trek Day. But did she show up to Star Trek Day because they asked her to? Because she had nothing better to do? Because that wasn't really a fan thing, per se? Or is it because they're bringing her back into the fold because they want T'Pol to show up on Strange New Worlds? Because that is entirely possible, because that would absolutely 100% be within a Vulcan's lifespan. So, there you go. That's Anne-Marie's take. I am behind her 100%. They could get Gary Graham back too as Saval. He might have been a little bit older than T'Pol, but there's only about 100 years or so, give or take, between Enterprise and TOS. Strange New Worlds predates TOS, and T'Pol was only 66, 67 by the time Enterprise was over. So totally within her lifespan. Same thing with Dr. Phlox. Denobulans have the same longevity. Let's see. Yeah, it really would be great to see her. Maybe they can let her hair grow a little bit. I don't know. Maybe Vulcan female hairstyles were different. Remember TOS, T'Pau had that big bun. So maybe they'll let Jolene have her long hair. Absolutely. She was absolutely amazing. I saw a clip. I didn't read the article, but I saw where she actually didn't think that T'Pol and Tucker had much chemistry, which I found really interesting. But yeah, I'm like, well, obviously everybody else thought you guys had chemistry. Maybe it was because she was playing such a buttoned up, unemotional character that she figured, how could there really be chemistry with anybody if she's that? Yes, that's true. T'Pring had that same hair too. Yeah, that big bun on top of her head. T'Pring, Amok Time happens to be my favorite TOS episode. So things I know. Spock's fiance. If we're talking about Jolene, I don't think it was hateful as much as, if I remember correctly, and I tried to find this online to confirm because I know I heard it somewhere, because I don't, say things that I haven't seen or heard from reliable sources. It wasn't hateful. It was harassing, because obviously she is a gorgeous woman, and it was that kind of behavior that had her decide not to do Star Trek conventions again. Not rude. It's the other thing it would. Well, yeah, who wouldn't have good chemistry with Jolene? But remember, domestic, it's not Jolene. Jolene thought T'Pol and Tucker had no chemistry, and that's the difference, because T'Pol was that even after she had the Trellium D sickness, she was still trying to be buttoned up and buttoned up and reserved, and so maybe that's why she felt like there was no chemistry. Yes, exactly. All of that, what everybody is saying, it's bad, they're toxic, and yeah, it's terrible. I actually worked a convention in East Coast Comic-Con, which is one of my absolute favorite conventions, and I was working with the Blue Power Ranger Michael Capone. I never watched Power Rangers, I was too old. And Aaron something was the Pink Power Ranger, and we came in. I was handling Michael, and Aaron was right next to us, so we all got to be very chummy, that little group of us. And we came in, I guess it was Saturday morning of the convention, and their tables we put a sheet over all of their stuff. You don't want to pack up 8x10s every night, so we put a sheet over their tables. And we came in the next day, and we were, as the handlers, it's our job to, uncover the table and get it ready for when the talent shows up. And somebody had left Aaron this very stalkery, creepy, "You're awesome. I love you. I think you're amazing. Here's my email address" note. And we don't know how it got there. And what's creepier is that it was underneath the sheet. So we don't know how that happened, because we kind of left right when everything closed down. So somebody must have been waiting around to stick that under the sheet after we all left. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy stalkerish behavior out there still. Maybe even, I don't know if it's worse, better, indifferent, I don't know, but yeah, I do know that I've seen it firsthand, what people are capable of, and it's sad, because if an actor doesn't feel safe going out in public and attending conventions, then they're just not going to go, because it's not worth their safety. Whatever amount of money they're going to make, or whatever happiness they're going to bring to every other fan, unfortunately, just really isn't worth their safety, and you can't not agree with that. You know what? Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Picard reunions. This is a disco Picard. Prodigy's back for the last half. SNW. Okay. So I guess I covered everything that I put down in my notes. See, I'm rusty, so I have to double check my notes. The one thing I did want to tell you before I forgot, because this is what I was doing this weekend. I spent the weekend helping Wesley Orr. For those of you that caught his appearance last year on the show, he starred in Land of the Lost. He also starred on Days of Our Lives in the early, around 1974, 75. And he had a very brief cameo in the movie Senior Moment that starred William Shatner, that came out last year. He is doing an auction for Betty White's 100th birthday. In honor of her birthday, he is going to be raising some money for Actors and Others, which is, oh, John, you have to go. Wish I could stay, but it's late, so see you next Monday. Live long and prosper. Absolutely. I can't do it. Believe it or not, I'm probably like the only person on the planet. I can't do it. But absolutely, John, live long and prosper. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. No matter how long you can stay, it is always appreciated that you're here, and you can always catch the replay. Just fast forward it to where you left. Bye. Anyway, Betty White's 100th birthday would have been a week from today, the 17th, and Actors and Others is oh, Faith, that's very sweet, but you know what? I have been trying for most of my life, and it's never worked unless I tape my fingers together. So Actors and Others is a nonprofit that Wesley and Betty have actually done work for, and it raises money obviously for actors, but it also raises money for animals. So he's auctioning off this neon hat that has been making the rounds on the internet. That it was a handmade hat somebody gave to him as a gift. He wore it. He did a picture. Everybody flipped out over it. So now the hat's been making the rounds. People, including me, have been putting it on other things and other characters and sharing it with him. So if you check out Wesley, I made the flyer and I've been helping him plan the auction. And again, it's for an amazing cause. You get the one-of-a-kind neon hat, and you also get a free video from Wesley, personalized, thanking you for being the high bidder. All you have to do is check out Wesley Eure fan page on Facebook. It's Wesley, Wesley Eure, Wesley Eure on Facebook. He's got a fan page. Go check it out. You'll get to see the flyer that I made. He's posting it on Wednesday. The bidding starts noon Pacific time on Wednesday. And since I've been helping him, and since I made the flyer, I told him that I would talk about it tonight. So please, if you loved Betty White, and who didn't, if you want this really funky wool bright neon hat, or if you just love Wesley Eure and Land of the Lost, or Dragon Tales, he co-created Dragon Tales, like Dragon Tales, Land of the Lost, Days of Our Lives. He's done so much Chomps, which was this really funny, cute little movie he did with Valerie Bertinelli. But yeah, he'll personalize a thank you video for you. So you could technically be bidding on this really cool thank you video, and the hat could just be the bonus. But to answer Robert's question, yes, Star Trek The Cruise, as of this moment, is still happening. It is happening the end of February. There are some people, including me, and I'm not even going. There are some people, including myself, who think that it's a bad idea and it should be canceled. There are, of course, all the paying passengers that are very excited to go regardless. But I think it's San Juan, Puerto Rico, which was supposed to be one of their stops. But because of Omicron, they have put into place you cannot enter unless you have a negative COVID test that is no more than 48 hours old. And because obviously the ship isn't docking there, actually Royal Caribbean's just said, no, we can't do that, because obviously unless you stop the next day at the port, nobody on your ship is going to have a negative COVID test that is that old, or that is that fresh, I should say, that new, or however you want to say it. So most of the cruise lines, just because of the complexity of following that protocol, have decided to skip that port. So the Star Trek cruise has lost at least one port of call, which people have paid for, because port fees are part of what you pay for the cruise. Hey, Magic. Oh, you missed Jean. He had to go. I think, Lasso, you missed him by a couple of seconds. Has Lyle Lovett ever been on an incarnation of Star Trek? That, my dear, is a very interesting question. I bet you Lyle Lovett has an IMDb page. Lyle Lovett was actually just in Friday night's episode of Blue Bloods, which I'm assuming is where that question is coming from, Lasso, because we had this conversation. It's entirely possible. He's actually not a bad actor. I've seen him pop up on a couple things. Him and, oh my God, Randy Travis, who was in Black Dog, which I really liked, with him and Patrick Swayze and Meatloaf. That was a really good movie. But I don't know. If somebody wants to do some research and answer Lasso's question, so you don't have to watch me having rusting research bitch face while I look for it and prattle on. So anyway, so the cruise. So I've just been following a lot of the conversation. When I saw him on Blue Bloods, I thought the same thing. I really did. It's not regardless, but cruise needs to cancel. It's not regardless, but the cruise needs to cancel it so we can get credit for a later cruise. Are you going on the cruise, domestic? I don't know what they're going to do. Like I said, they've lost at least one port already. We don't know if any of the actors are going to pull out. because of this. They may be waiting till, the last minute, which sort of sucks for the fans, but makes sense from an actor's point of view, where they don't want to. Oh, okay. You know what? I think I do remember you telling me you were going domestic, so I apologize, but that is awesome. Have you talked to ECP about? I know they were letting people cancel in October. I don't know if anything's changed because they've dumped a port. They did just cancel their jazz cruise. I don't know why I torture myself, but I am a member of the Star Trek Cruise 5 Facebook page. And I know I just saw some people talking about they did cancel the jazz cruise, but I think the jazz cruise was happening a little earlier. Right now, they're saying that by the end of January, the Omicron variant should have petered out, and things will, things will be better. But you know what? God forbid if there's another variant around the corner. A lot of people are saying how, well, so we'll just have another day at sea. We won't stop. I'll hang out with my friends on the boat, which isn't necessarily better, and which isn't necessarily better. And honestly, these ports of call aren't just for the cruisers. They're for, from what I understand, they're also for the staff, because when the cruisers leave, this is when the staff, the staff gets to take breaks. So it's not just as simple as we'll just spend another day at sea. That's kind of not how it works. So, I mean, if they lose another port, which could or may not happen, like I said, I don't know, domestic, you probably are getting more email. Obviously, you're getting more emails than I am. I'm just looking at what people are posting on social media. I know every time somebody says the cruise should cancel, they get a lot of angry little reactions. Selfishly, I agree, only because that means hopefully next year they'll repeat a lot of the people, and maybe all the Enterprise people will be on next year, but I don't know. Faith went down a Dragon Tales rabbit hole. Well, I can tell you this from personal experience, and because I spoke to Wesley about it. If Faith, you can bid on the Neon Cap, and if you happen to be the winner of the auction, you can ask him for your thank you video to sing the theme to Dragon's Tales. I have heard him do that. He will definitely do that. He's done it at every Star Trek convention. Anytime he's at a convention and you walk up to him and tell him you're a fan of Dragon Tales, he'll start singing Dragon Tales, which is absolutely a wonderful break from sitting next to him when he starts singing the theme to Land of the Lost, which he actually did for the show. If you watch Land of the Lost, that was him singing. So, yeah, as far as I know, the cruise is still happening. I'm not going, so it doesn't really confront me none one way or the other. I agree, domestic, that it's probably not the best idea, especially cruise ships are still kind of hotbeds for COVID, because you know what? I know people that have gotten 3 shots and they still have gotten COVID. So it happens. I'm supposed to be going to LA next month, hopefully for Gallifrey 1, because again, they're having it. It's mid-February. It's the 18th, 19th, and 20th. And it's I went with Lambda Quadrant. The last one they had was in 2020, right before everything shut down, and it was amazing. There you go. Thanks, Robert. Sorry, Ryan. No, I guess it doesn't matter to you, but I answered your question. So yeah, so Gallifrey 1 actually happened right before everything shut down in February 2020. Then, of course, they didn't have one last year. So they're having one this year, and I just checked out their website. And right now, because they don't see LA shutting down, because they're going to be in February, and everybody's expecting this to be kind of petering out by the end of January, they're still having their convention. So, and the cruise is at the end of February. So my guess is ECP is crossing their fingers that everybody's right and that the Omicron variant will have petered out and it'll be safe enough to get on a cruise ship. But meanwhile, like I said, I know people that have gotten all 3 shots just like you're supposed to, and they've had breakthrough cases of it. And even though they're over it, they're still testing positive. That's the other thing. I had it last year, and one thing my doctor said is you can get over this and test positive for months after. And it doesn't matter that you're over it. If you test positive, you test positive, and nobody's going to take that risk. They're not going to let you on cruises. They're not going to let you do anything. So even if you get it and recover, like you're asymptomatic and you think you're good, the minute you test positive, regardless. Wow. Where are you, Faith? I apologize for not remembering. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's supposed to get really bad for the rest of this month, and then it's supposed to die out. But, I mean, that's the margin of error for that. I mean, like COVID has a calendar, and they can see that when January 31st rolls into February 1st. But, I don't know. Oh, okay. You're not that far from me down in Virginia. I mean, I have driven through the fair Commonwealth. It's Commonwealth, isn't it? I've driven through the Commonwealth of Virginia on my way to Nashville, Tennessee, a couple of times. Virginia, honestly, I call Virginia the Connecticut of the South, because when I was a kid, we used to drive out to visit family in Massachusetts. Connecticut on 95 would just seem to go on for forever. And honestly, that's how I feel about Virginia, because to get from New Jersey to Tennessee, the bulk of your trip is through Virginia, and I knew it was a Commonwealth. Yeah, see, exactly. And Delta COVID's hanging around, so it's not just Omicron. Delta's hanging around. I have to tell you, I'm weird about Commonwealths because I've lived in two. Pennsylvania and Massachusetts are both Commonwealths, which means they're technically not states. You don't say this. You don't say the state of Virginia. You say the Commonwealth of Virginia. So after living in two of them, I've kind of like have it in my head which sections of these United States are commonwealths versus states. Because like I said, I lived in Massachusetts and PA, and they were both commonwealths. I always only thought there were one or two, and then I just kept finding out. But anyway, that's your geography lesson for the night, and I suck at geography. Like, literally, that is probably one of the only things that I'm really geographically sure of, is what the Commonwealths are, and that they're technically not states. They're called Commonwealths. Anything else you guys want to talk about that is Star Trek related? I know we always, as usual, see, it would not be an NX 7062 podcast if we did not get off topic, but I think it is perfect timing for a closing announcement. And this is another thing we're all going to cross our fingers about, because I don't have anything solid yet, but I have spoken to Noah Averback Katz, Averback Katz. I should probably get his name right before the show. From Discovery. I talked to him, and he is booked for the rest of this month, but he's told me that I should reach out to him in February, and we will see about scheduling him for a live interview right here on this podcast. He is a huge Star Trek fan. He is huge D&D player. In fact, he and a bunch of his castmates from Discovery have regular Dungeons and Dragons games. I personally, the only thing I know of Dungeons and Dragons is that it was a cartoon based on a role-playing game. I've never played it. Hey, Warlord! Thanks so much for popping in. Always appreciate it. I apologize, though, because you kind of popped in at the last minute, unless you've been here in hiding, which I have found out. I have said that before, where I'm like, oh, there's nobody here, and then somebody's like, I'm watching, I'm just not talking. So, Warlord, if you've been here and just decided to say hi. If you just got here, I am really sorry, because we're starting to wrap up, but I am so excited that you're here, and thank you so much. And obviously, you are a friend of the lasso, so thank you so much for creeping in. Thanks so much for creeping in. I appreciate it. Let's see. So, yes, he is an absolute amazing human. I have met him a couple of times, once in Vegas, once at the Sci-Fi Summit in New Jersey. He is awesome. He just sent a bunch of people insulin that he did not need, insulin pens. So I will absolutely give him airtime to talk about supporting how he supports diabetes. because that is such an important topic. People don't realize how important, I think, because it's I mean, I have a few people in my family that are diabetic, and you can live with diabetes, but it can be difficult. And if you don't get your insulin, or you don't take care of yourself the way you should, or you don't get proper medical help, it can be dangerous. You can lose your sight. You can lose limbs. It's not as scary as I think it was a while ago. I mean, when I was in elementary school, I sat in front of a kid that had diabetes, and he had 2 clocks on his desk, like those little cardboard clocks that you could switch the hand to, and he had one for his morning snack and one for his afternoon snack. And I remember being jealous that he got to eat in class, not obviously realizing that that's very important. But it was very important for him to make sure that he ate during the day, and not just at lunch. So we will absolutely 100% have some time to talk about how important that is. And let's see what else. Parting thoughts. Don't forget, this Saturday, Tech Out Trek Geeks. I will try and share the information because of the telethon. Another obviously great cause is the Hollywood Food Coalition, with board member and alien doctor extraordinaire John Billingsley. There are panels, something for everybody. I can't believe I have to wait till 9:30 at night to see my Enterprise panel, but I will definitely be checking it out. Please check out Wesley Yours. Just go follow his fan page, the big announcement, and my flyer premiere on Wednesday when it's time to start bidding on the hat and the thank you video. Like I said, Faith, go bid for the video and just get the hat as a bonus, because Wesley has worn it. I have seen the pictures. Wesley has worn the hat, as well as some slee stacks. So let's see, is there anything else? I don't think so. As soon as I nail Noah down for a date, which obviously I'll be talking to him in the next couple of weeks, so I will let you know. I am trying to see if I can put together a special guest for this month while there is still time, because we've got a couple more shows coming up. So I think that about does it for this episode of the NX7062 podcast. Don't forget, you can follow me all over the place on socials. Just, head over to my website. How easy is that? NX7062. And that will link you to absolutely everything else that is involved, that I am involved in. My Patreon, my Teespring shop, and all of my socials. Robert, thank you. Thank you so much. Yep, my knee actually survived the entire night, so I'm really excited about that, which bodes well for me sitting at my desk going forward. Magic Lasso, thank you as always for popping in. I know you usually have Monday night stuff, so I'm always happy to see you pop in. And the rest of you, as always, guys, have a great week. And even though I can't do it, I can still say it. Live long and prosper.
Hey, this is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX7062 podcast with Stephanie. Enjoy your evening.